Hi everybody. In today's lecture, we are going to go over objects. And before even actually getting into objects, I would like to tell you a little bit more about the theory behind it because in every language these days, any programming language you pick up, you will have objects in them. And it's important that you understand why the concept of objects came into existence. So let's look at a very simple example and try to clarify why it happened. So here we are. You can see a car is an object. A car has different properties. One, it's a name. Its name is Fiat. A model, 500. A weight, 850 kgs. A color, white. So these are the properties that the object have and it cannot change. However, if there is another car, let's say I bring in a BMW with a black color. So the BMW, the name of the car would be BMW. The model will be 528. The weight will be probably 1000 kg and the color will be black. So irrespective of the car, the model, the properties of the car are going to be the same and the values of the properties will be different. Similarly, the car has many methods or probably built-in features we say, such as car can start, car can be driven, car can be braked or probably stopped. So these are different methods which are there in every car. So every car can be started, stopped, you can stamp on the brake and the brake will play its action. So there are many actions or methods that can be performed in that particular car. We have already seen that JavaScript variables are containers for data values. Similarly, objects are variables too, but objects can contain many values. Let's look at an example and try to create the car object. Let's close the output and open the console. Let's create our car variable. And we know that creating an object, we need to start and stop with the curly braces. And we can start giving in the different properties. Let's say the type of the vehicle. In this scenario, it was a Fiat. Let's say the model of the vehicle, in this case it was 500. We also have the color of the vehicle, which was white. And that defines or declares our car. There is no restriction on you having all the properties in the same line. For readability, you can put an enter and put it onto the new line. So it's very okay to have the properties of an object spread correctly so that you can have better readability. Alright, so we just saw a very good example of an object. What if there is another object and I tell you that an object can also store methods or can also hold methods? I know you'll be surprised, but let me show you a very good example that showcases that objects can also store methods. And if you recollect the example that I showed you earlier, you can see that I had methods like start, drive, brake, stop. Something similar can be very easily achieved in any kind of an object. Let's see another example where we define a person and the person has a first name of John, comma, last name of Doe, comma, age 25, and I will create a method out here. Let's create a method called change name. And methods are nothing but functions that belong to a particular object. So function new first name, and let's close this function. Let's also close this object declaration, and let's say return, because it has to return something. Well, we don't need to return. Let's just do this dot first name is equals to new first name. Now what I'm doing here is, when you create an object, you have an instance of an object, which is you create a particular object which will have these parameters. It may be completely different than another object which says Abhay Talreja. In that case, that's a separate object. So those are different instances. Now, what happens is when you have a method and you try to update something that belongs to that particular object, you use a keyword called as this. What this does, it tells JavaScript that this particular attribute that belongs to this object has to be updated. We will cover this keyword a little in detail in the later chapters, but just wanted to bring it up to you. Let's try to do a console.log of our person.firstname and see what happens. John. Now let's try to use our newly created method and change the name. Let's say person.change name, and let's pass the new name as Abhay. Now let's do the same console log and see what the result is. Let's clear this, let's run. You see, the first thing that we had was John, and then the next time we have it Abhay because the first name gets updated. So you can see with this a very small example on what all you can do with methods. Methods actually can be a part of the object that gives object more power, because you know that you have attributes and there are actions that you can perform on those attributes, or there are certain logics that you can perform, and it all resides within that same particular object. So objects actually act more like a compartmentalization and a standard that your objects or your data can be perceived as. So if say you know that a car will have these particular attributes and these particular methods, wherever you use a car object, you know that you will always have these parameters for you. Objects are very crucial for any modern programming language, because I think overall the concept is widely adopted for a reason, because it's easier to code. You pick up any modern language like Java, JavaScript, and for that matter even Ruby, Grails, you can easily see that object-oriented programming is the best approach to go. Another important thing that I wanted to bring to your notice is whenever you declare a string or a variable for a variable string, boolean, or a number, you can do very easily as text this, but this doesn't say in JavaScript that it's a string, so you have to give it a value so that JavaScript knows that it's a string. Now that's very obvious, we have already discussed that. What's new that I want to tell you? Well, I want to tell you something new about the new keyword, because what you can do is you can also declare a particular type of variable using the object of string. So whenever you say text equals new string, what this will do is it will create an object of text with an undefined value, and it will be of type string. What happens? The thing is, when you declare a variable with new or whatever object, let's say I want to do a number, let's number x, and let's call this as a number. In that case, what happens is when you do such an assignment, these assignments are very slow from the performance perspective and are very confusing too. So please try and avoid such assignments, because it's easier. I know many JavaScript code, when you search online or probably Google for solutions, some might have this kind of an approach. I would just refrain from having something like that in your code. As a good practice, avoid it. Alright, see you in the next lecture.